for honoring our invitation to participate at the webinar. I am Karen Gevorkian. I am the Armenian coordinator of ITC, and under this project, we would like to present the new platform that has been established under the Eastern Partnership. It is trade support platform, which was developed with the International Trade Center in cooperation with the Armenian government, with the Ministry of Armenia. The purpose of our meeting is very simple: to briefly introduce you to the site, its opportunities, its operation, and its usefulness, how any exporter can study the international market, assess his or her export potential for to a country and for a specific goods, and will make a well-founded decision. Now, I will not speak many details about the site because our colleagues are going to make a detailed presentation on the site. Only technically, those who needed the translation from English into Armenian, on the below bar you can see the globe, and you just click the globe translation and choose the German language. Unfortunately, in this system, there is no Armenian option. That's why we decided to put the German. Once again, thank you very much for your participation, and I want to give the floor to Adelia Rashidova, who is the chief expert from the ITC. Please, Adelia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Karen, and of this to everybody joining. Very nice to have you with us today. Before I start, just a couple of notes. This meeting will be recorded, so for those of you who missed it, or any of your colleagues who registered but could not attend, they will have a chance to receive the link to the recording. And again, yes, the interpretation is available for English and Armenian. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to raise your hand or type them in chat in Armenian or English or even Russian if you would like. And we will answer them as we progress between sections, or at the end, there will be a question and answer section. So you can also even turn your camera on if you would like and ask your question. So. Now, without further ado, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you with us here today and present you the EaP Trade Help Desk. We believe it's a tool that will help you navigate through export opportunities among the EaP countries, as well as the opportunities within the EU markets. So my name is Adelia Rashidova. As Karen already presented me, I work for the ITC in the Trade and Market Intelligence section on capacity building, and was in data collection as well. Some of you might already know me from the previous training. And I am joined here by my lovely colleagues, Karen, who is our National Project Manager in Armenia, and also Anya Yankovska, who is the Chief Capacity Building Leader. Anya, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. As Adelia said, it's nice to see so many familiar faces. We look forward to this opportunity today to
Adelia, we lost Anya, unfortunately.
Okay,
yes. She's back.
Yes, just a technical, quick, small glitch. We lost Anya for a second.
Sorry about that. I seem to have cut out, but I will hand over to Adelia for now. I will speak to you in a little bit and do the actual platform demo. But first, Adelia will go ahead and walk us through a little bit about why this platform is important right now and how it's useful for Armenians, and give us an overview of the types of information that are included in the portal. Back to you, Adelia.
Thank you, Anya. Okay. 1 second. Let me make sure I can share my screen with you.
We can see your screen, Adelia. We can see, but we have to enlarge it. Okay, now it is okay. Yes.
Yes, I see it works now. Just a quick note, if there's anybody asking to join the room, I count on you to let them. So we have more people. Yes, great. Thank you. So again, without further ado, today our webinar will consist of several sections. First, we will give you a brief introduction of the type of information that we have on the portal. And then Anya will do a quick demonstration of such information and how to navigate the main sections of the portal. And then we will have a chance to practice with you, to give you a little bit of a hand-on experience on how to search for a certain product exporting from Armenia to a foreign market. And then we will test your knowledge with a really, really quick, painless Zoom poll. And then we will finish up with a question and answer section. If you have any questions in the meantime, I see somebody raise their hands, but we would appreciate it if you could type it in chat, and then myself or my colleagues will answer it. Or again, we will be able to answer them all at the end of the session. It will be really quick. So without further ado, so the reason why we wanted to organize this webinar is that we thought it will be very timely, especially in this current economic and geopolitical conditions. Now, Armenian businesses, as well as all the other businesses in the EaP regions, I think it would benefit them to explore and be made aware of different export opportunities. Because, with the recent conflicts between Ukraine and Russia and the subsequent economic fallout that followed, that is happening currently, it is very important to stay very well aware of different market diversification opportunities. So, as we already know, this current the economic growth is stagnating, is slowing down, and I think it's here to stay for the coming months. And it is happening across all the markets. So with the inflation also rising and remaining quite high, and the rise of fuel prices and shipping costs, it is becoming more expensive for Armenian businesses to trade at their usual pace with their usual partners. And in this economic conditions, SMEs, so small and medium-sized enterprises, are extremely vulnerable. And it is now we think it is now a good time to reflect and try to explore new opportunities in other markets and evaluate how attractive they are. Now, looking at Armenian export statistics, it is not surprising that almost a third of its exports is going to Russia and Ukraine, and it was the case for at least the last year. But under the current circumstances and disrupted supply chains, it is now especially important to consider looking at new markets. And now, for instance, according to ITC calculations that you see on the right side on the slide, EU currently offers about $238 million of room for additional export growth for Armenia by 2027. Now, how can Armenian businesses adapt their strategies and really take advantage of such opportunities? Let us explore. Now, what we think is important for a business is primarily staying informed about such business opportunities, seeking information, making sure you can compare them across different markets. On top of that, it is also crucial to be able to diversify the markets. The companies, as we've seen from examples of companies recovering from the COVID crisis, COVID pandemic, is that the companies that stayed in multiple markets were highly more likely to stay afloat, to keep doing business, whereas those who target just one have not done as well. So in these uneasy times, resilience really matters, and things are changing day by day. So it is essential to be able to diversify the market risks and be aware of the different business opportunities and stay informed and make informed business decisions. So today we will talk a little bit about evaluating that economic attractiveness and what are the factors that we want to consider while doing so. Also analyze the export potential, and I'm going to tell you a bit more on which factors do we consider while calculating the export potential and the room for additional export growth. Also, we will look at the market requirements and restrictions that firms also want to consider, on top of looking at just export statistics and tariffs and costs to enter the market. So we will do all that and also determine how which other business opportunities are Armenian businesses can consider and while doing business abroad. Now, if you hear the paper, this is my notes in English because the presentation is in Armenian, so I hope you understand. So now, we all want to target the best market, right? We all want to consider the most economically attractive market. But what exactly is an economically attractive market? What are the factors that we want to consider? So first, of course, the market size. Now we say the bigger, the better, even though the biggest market does not necessarily mean it's the best market to target. But it does offer us more room for, it offers more room for exporters to, it can capacitate much more exporters. So there is a competition in the market, and we don't want a very monopolized market. On top of that, it offers more, it has more market niches. So another factor we want to consider is we want to look into the evolution of the demand to see how it has grown over the years, to see if it has been dynamic and what we expect from it based on the past tendencies and the past trends and statistics. Now, speaking of the expectation, of course, we want to look at the export potential. Now, it is an ITC forecast covering 5 years in the future, looking at the benchmark value of the expected trade, taking into account all the quantifiable factors that we could potentially consider. For example, the demand, the supply, the GDP growth. So this is, again, a benchmark value of the expected trade, so we can identify and compare the opportunities at the product for each product in different markets. Now let's look a little bit closer on that prediction. So it's a 5-year forecast, again, in the future, currently until 2027. And so we call it the country's export potential. Now it takes into account factors, again, supply, demand, global market shares of the product, tariffs, distances between the trading partners, GDP growth, then Armenian market share for the products, the strengths of the business relationships and between the trading partners. For example, it will show us how much more cognac we believe for instance, I will take an example. How much more cognac can Armenia export to France within the next 5 years, up until 2027? And then we will compare it with actual exports to see what is the room for additional growth. In other words, how much more cognac can Armenia export to France? Now, in addition of estimating the export potential, we believe it is also important to consider how much it will cost to enter a certain market. Now, a company has to pay tariff costs. So, and there are different types of tariffs. Now, we will not go really into the details, but sometimes they can be really complex. But for example, here we will take exporting fresh peaches from Armenia to Georgia. Now, here you can see that normally an MFN rate, so most favored nation tariff, will apply to all WTO countries that are under this agreement. So this will be 12%. Sorry, I don't see the screen because of, yeah. So this will be a 12% ad valorem tariff rate that every exporter exporting peaches will pay entering Georgian market. However, we do have an agreement, a bilateral trade agreement between Armenia and Georgia that lets the exporter export the peaches at the 0% tariff rate. However, they do need to qualify for the so-called rule of origin, so prove the origin of the peach. So there are specific requirements they need to follow, and they need to certify that the peach is indeed coming from Armenia. And in this case, the rule of origin will be changed in tariff heading. But by complying with this, an exporter will be able to benefit from this preferential 0% tariff rate. Now, on top of the tariffs, and what we think, and we also know from the business surveys, the so-called non-tariff measures, so everything that's on top of the tariffs, one of the most stringent and burdensome thing to comply with is the regulatory requirements for exporters. For example, here, in case we want to export peach from Armenia to Germany, here we can see that, sorry, for Georgia, start from the right. So we have 24 regulatory measures. For Germany, this is 39 regulatory measures. And for China, this is 74 regulatory measures. Now, it doesn't mean that if there is not a huge difference, for example, between the number of them, but this is just to show that sometimes it can be really complex, and it really differs from one market to another. So an exporter, on top of checking the past statistics, the export potential, the tariffs, the cost to enter the market, really do want to also look at how difficult it is to enter the market to comply with all those regulatory requirements, such as we all know this SPS measures, the TBT measures, so all this non-tariff measures that are there to protect the eventual consumer. Now, how do we know all this information, right? Where do we take it all from? Now, don't worry, we got you covered for that. We thankfully have our EaP Trade Help Desk that comprised all this information that has been gathered by decades by our colleagues here in ITC. So it's trade map with export import statistics. We have export potential from the export potential map, market access map with market access requirements, tariffs, and regulatory requirements, voluntary sustainability standards, the EaPing alerts, and we have also information from our focal point, Ministry of Economy of the Republic of Armenia, that also kindly agreed to share with us some data. So thanks to that, and accumulating all this, we have put it all together for you in the EaP Trade Help Desk that is available in English, Russian, and also Armenian and other languages of the Eastern Partnership for your convenience. Now let's dive in quickly into the main sections of the portal, and then I know you cannot wait for Anya to show you how it actually works and where to find the information. Now, so the EaP Trade Help Desk is consisting of 3 main modules. Now, the first one would be the regional opportunities or identify opportunities. Here you can see this is a strategic overview of intra and extra regional opportunities. You can see market shares, export potential, top imports, growing markets, etc. Now, if you dig a little bit deeper and you have already your importer, exporter, and the product that you would like to see seek opportunities for, you have the market information module where you have the detailed information on market access, key procedures, and also key partners. And you can find information like tariffs, taxes. We have collected taxes for the EaP countries, non-tariff measures, any regulatory changes, WTO notifications, rules of origin, sustainability, or voluntary standards that are very appealing in nowadays in foreign markets like the EU. And you can see some finance providers and business contacts. And on top of that, we have the help center where you can see the resource materials and also ask a question to our network of professionals. So we have our in-house team in case it's a question about the portal, its functionality, or you have any suggestions, it's very welcome. We are still developing and we make it better for you. So if you have any questions, please really do contact us. And also we have the Help Center network now with some specialists from Armenia here that can also answer any specific inquiries. And also by logging into the portal, by having an account, Anya will elaborate on that later on, but you will not only be able to see the information on potential trading partners, so importing markets, but also keep track of the inquiries in the inquiry system. So you will be able to know when your question will be answered. All right, now enough of me. I think I pass the floor to Anya, who will show you one great example.
Thank you, Adelia, for this lovely introduction and overview. So now we know what we are going to find in the portal, and I would like to walk you through an example. The example that I'd like to walk you through is I'm going to open the EaP Trade Help Desk, and we're going to look at an example of exporting women's coats from Armenia to France. So if you'll bear with me just one moment, I will go ahead and open the EaP Trade Help Desk. I hope you're able to see my screen now. So this is the EaP Trade Help Desk. So it is available in the EaP languages, including Armenian, as well as Russian and English. We have a login button up here, and if you log in, it allows you to access the most detailed company information. And it also allows you to submit an inquiry and be able to see it to track it as it's being answered and see kind of who it's with in terms of which agency is answering it. So it gives you extra visibility. So as Adelia mentioned, the EaP Trade Help Desk is comprised of 3 main modules. We have the Identify or Regional Opportunities, we have Market Information, and the Help Center. And on our main homepage here, what we can see is a little bit of information about opportunities. So we're looking here at these export potential statistics that Adelia told us about. So the expected room for export growth. And at the moment, we're looking at export growth potential in the EaP region. So we can see that for Armenia, we see there could be room for another $78 million in export potential or additional exports from Armenia to the EaP region in the coming years. And when we look at the EU, we can see that it's even higher. It's 238 million. So we can either start directly from an Armenian perspective, or most users of this platform will go directly to the market information section. So we will start here. Now, as I said, what I'm interested in is I'd like to obviously export from Armenia. I'm interested in the French market, so I will select France. And my product code for women's coats is 620420. If you aren't familiar with your product code, you can also type it in. You can also type in a keyword. So let's type that in again, 6204240, I believe, actually. Yes, women's or girls' overcoats. And I'm going to click on the Go button, and this will allow me to execute the search to get the most detailed information that I can about this opportunity. So first, it's going to give me an overview of the economic attractiveness. So we can see that as an importer, France ranks as the 5th largest importer of this product, and its global imports were 270, almost 8 million in last year in 2021. We can see that Armenia has entered the French market, and in 2021, there were $61,000 in imports, so not a whole lot, but we can see that there's an export potential number of 2 million here. So we can see that there's still quite a bit of room for growth that we can see for women's overcoats from Armenia to France. And we can see that there was a gentle decline in the last 5 years, but we can see in this graph below that there have certainly been some peaks as well. So it looks like we're on an increasing trend again here. So once we've seen how economically attractive this market is, we can see once again, how much is it going to cost us to enter this market for these women's coats that we're exporting from Armenia? Now, we're going to look at this at the national tariff line, because the national tariff line is the level of detail at which the tariffs will be applied, and they will change. So here we can see that raincoats are in one category. We can also see that there's different types of materials used and different garments. So depending on what we're interested in, we are going to just stay with parkas and coats. And we can see that the MFN duty, or the tariff applied to all WTO members, is 12%, including Armenia. So we will pay 12% for the import of this in France. But as Adelia mentioned, one of the more challenging aspects for importers or for exporters will be the actual regulations that are applied in this product in the importing country. And what we can see here is that in this case, we can see that there's actually one requirement on the Armenian side for exporting coats. And there's also additional requirements on the French side. So we can see there's a product quality and safety performance requirement. And we can see the details of what kind of safety regulations in terms of fire resistance and performance there are, what is the technical standard, and we can also get more information using the PDF or the full link, as well as additional information on market access map or access to markets for EU markets. In addition to, I'm not going to go through all of the regulations because they're quite detailed, and the same information is available for all of the categories. But what I wanted to highlight is this WTO notifications tab. So whenever there are new regulations that are going to be implemented, we will also find additional information here on the changing requirements and whatever France notifies in terms of changing regulations. The next tab is sustainability standards. In the case of jackets, there won't be many that apply, but this is where you would find information on sustainable, on organic, on fair trade products. Whenever these can offer you a niche, a higher price and access to a niche market, this will be especially important for agricultural products, but it can also apply to other products as well. So here you might find additional information on the types of standards that apply and how it is that you can get certified in this particular standard. The information that tends to be most interesting for a lot of the users of the platform is the business partners section. So here we have the business directory. We have also the list of trade finance providers that can help us get perhaps access to additional funding, as well as trade promotion organizations. So here, for instance, we can see the banks that offer trade financing in Armenia. And if I click on the business directory, and if I've logged in, then I will be able to get the company information from Trade Map. So here we can see the information. This is the number of importing companies in France broken down by categories for women's overcoats, which is what we were looking at. And we can see that, for instance, if we look at clothing for women, we can see the list of importing companies, potentially importing companies. We can see the company name, we can see the website, we can see the phone number sometimes, and we can also get additional information by clicking on each company profile. So this tends to be interesting information for companies. It can give you at least a head start in terms of how you can find out more about entering the French market and finding buyers. In addition, we would also encourage you to go to your useful country contacts. So here we can see that there's information about export and import procedures in Armenia, in case you aren't already aware of them, as well as other important resources. There's government institutions, in case there's some that you would need to contact, including your export insurance agency, your ministries, and there's also business support organizations, in case you would like additional support, and publications and other resources. So in case you would also like to see what are the trading patterns between Armenia and the EU, as well as the EaP countries, and identify other potential products for export, I would encourage you to go to the Identify Opportunities module. Now, in this module, we're going to have an overview. On the left side, we're going to see information about trade performance, and on the right side, we're going to see information about export potential. So I am going to select Armenia from the drop-down menu. And I can first see that imports have grown within the EaP region from Armenia at about 14% per year over the last year. So that's definitely encouraging. And we can see the total export potential we expect within the region. We can also see that the relationship in terms of trade is strongest right now with Georgia and Belarus and Ukraine. And we can see also what are some of the opportunities in terms of how much export potential we can expect. So here, the size of the bubble represents the total export potential, and the size of the darker square actually represents the export. So for Georgia, we can see that 24% of the potential has been used, but that means 76% is still available, and that's about 49.7 million in the coming years by 2027. We can also see the same information for the EU region. From Armenia, we can also get a sense of where the strongest trade performance is and what are the opportunities across countries. So if we're interested, for instance, in opportunities in Germany, we can get a closer look at what's being imported at the sector level in the last couple of years. We can see that metals and apparel have been growing. And we can also see this tree map, or these boxes with export potential. So we can see what are some of the products that, for instance, in the apparel sector, that might be interesting in the coming years. And we can see all of these products here. And this will take us as well. This will take us back to the market information tab and show us the same information for the selected product. So we've explored for now the market information, which gives us the detailed information at the product level. We've looked at an overview of what are the trading patterns and what are the opportunities across EaP markets and EU markets. And the last element I wanted to show you is the Help Center. So the Help Center is basically where you can find definitions, you can find resources, you can find all of the frequently asked questions. In case anything is unclear to you, this is where you would go, and you can either type in a topic that interests you, or you can look once again through all of the additional resources. But most importantly, we know that there might be aspects beyond what is covered in the platform that you might be interested in. And there's a full network of experts that are connected to the platform and ready to answer your questions. So I would also encourage you, if you're looking for additional information, to submit an inquiry. Now, if you register you will be able to track it more carefully, but you don't have to register to submit an inquiry. But what you need to do is to select a topic, ask your question, put in your email, your name, your residence, and then you click submit inquiry. And then you will receive an email, and we will receive an email with the answer to your question. If you're logged in, you will be able to track how who has responded and how your inquiry is being dealt with. But this gives you an opportunity to get additional information beyond what's already available in the platform. So this is the EaP Trade Help Desk portal. And once again, you can select Armenian from the menu here. And now what I would like to ask you to do is to try OneSearch yourself. So I'm going to share my screen with the PowerPoint again. And I'm going to ask you to please load EaP Trade Help Desk on your computer, on your phone, wherever you can. And I'd like you to please type in Armenia for the exporter. I'd like you to select cognac for the product. And I believe the market we'd like to explore is Germany. So exporting from Armenia, cognac, which is 220820. And the target market is Germany. And once you have this open, I'm going to ask you to please answer the questions that you see on your screen. Oh, hold on a sec. I think we need to launch the poll again. Are you able to see the poll?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes,
the poll
they can
is
see.
launched. Great. So please answer. It's just 3 short questions. I just want to make sure that you're able to use the platform and just give it a quick try so that you can see if you have any questions, if anything is unclear to you. I would encourage you to please take 2 minutes and try the search and see if you can find the correct answers to these questions. The questions that we have are, what is the annual export potential value estimated for Germany's import of cognac into Armenia? What is the tariff a German importer will pay for cognac in Armenia? And in which year did Germany import the largest value of Armenian cognac obtained by distilling grape wine? So if you could please just take 2 more minutes. I see that some of you have already answered the poll. Please don't be shy. And then we can clarify any doubts you may have and show you a couple of last slides before we move to the question and answer. So I will just give you 1 more minute to please answer the poll. Once again, we're looking for the annual export potential estimated for cognac to Germany from Armenia. We're looking for the tariff that a German importer will pay for Armenian cognac, and the year in which Germany imported the most of Armenian cognac so far. Okay, we'll give 30 more seconds to those of you who are still searching or still thinking about it. And then we will go ahead and close the poll and show you the answers that we've received. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. So thank you all of you who have participated in the poll. Now, I think on your screens, you should be able to see the results. Actually, for the first question, we had quite a almost even distribution between the three answers. The correct answer was number 2, the second answer. But we had quite a distribution there. And then on the second question, also we had a few different answers between 0, 2%, and 9%. The correct was 0%. And on the third question, we had also 2019 came out as the winner. The correct answer was actually 2021. So I will quickly just go through this example with you to make sure that we're all on the same page, and then we'll finish up and we'll move to our question and answer session soon. So if you'll permit me to go back to the EaP Trade Help Desk. Oh, I'm in Armenian. So I'm going to go to market information. I'm going to select Armenia. My product code was 220820, which is cognac. And I'm going to select Germany. So our export potential, we can see the figure here was 2.1 million. We can see that here on the first page. The tariff information, we click on tariffs and taxes. We can see that the correct was 0%. And to see which year we saw the largest imports, we can see that there's been an increasing trend, and it was 3.2 million actually in 2021. What's interesting here is we can see that the actual imports are higher than the export potential, but this happens, this can definitely happen. This means that Armenian cognac is of very good quality and has very good brand power. So it's even doing better than we expected in the German market. So congratulations on that. Just a couple of slides to finish up. So thank you for giving the example a try. Okay, now, so we know that it's available in your language, and what's next but what can you expect in terms of changes in the future? Our colleagues are in the process of gathering information on export requirements in certain sectors or in certain products in Armenia. So you can expect some trade guides to be available that will walk you through what are the procedures within Armenia to become an exporter of these products, step by step, and what are the costs associated with it. In addition, we are conducting and almost finalizing the non-tariff measure business surveys. So what's interesting about this is that we are interviewing 600 companies across the goods sector in different sectors, in a representative sectors of Armenia. And we're also looking at interviewing 180 firms in tourism, in ITC, in ICT, and in key services sectors. And we're asking them, what are the regulations and what are the procedures that are impacting you the most when you try to export to either EU markets or other EaP markets? And what this will show us is what are the key constraints and the key regulations that are really having the greatest impact on firms in Armenia. So this will also provide an opportunity to policymakers to address some of those challenges, but also to make sure that we're all aware of what are the procedural and regulatory factors that are really impacting firms the most in Armenia. So that will be published on the website in the coming months. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope this demo was useful to you. And what we would now like to do is to open the floor for questions. So I will stop sharing. And if you could please raise your electronic hands. I see that we have one person who already has their hand up. But if anyone else would also like to take the floor, please feel free to raise your hand, and we'll also try to answer the questions that were posted in the chat at some point. Would AM like to take the floor? You have your hand up? maybe you already put your question in the chat, you don't want to repeat it. Is there anyone who would like to ask a question? If anything is unclear, we would love to explain it to you or connect you with the colleagues of ours if you need additional information, something very specific, we can also do that. But we are open for any questions or comments that you may have. Also, if you have ideas on other information that you think would be useful for Armenian exporters, please let us know. We are open to any and all suggestions, questions, comments.
There is a question in the chat. Can we contact just contact two buyers? Meaning that this is not a good English translation, but somebody wants to know, MK, whether they can have a direct contact through the portal with a buyer, with a potential buyer.
What I would say to Mkrtic, sorry to butcher your name, is that as we showed, using the portal, there's a business directory which provides some contact information for firms that come from either Compass or Dun & Bradstreet. Those are companies that have imported in the past, so they could be potential buyers, but you would need to contact them and ask them directly. We don't have, let's say, the customs information of the last time that they imported. We don't have that level of detail, but we do have the contact information. So if this is what you're after, then then this is a possibility. Can we be registered in this portal as an importer or exporter? That's an excellent question from Mary. At the moment, we do not have a way to register in the portal, but this is something that we would like to, this is a feature we would like to develop in the future to allow companies to directly register themselves. So we will keep you up to date. But yes, this is certainly something that we would like to make sure we can develop in the future. And this is, we've already received some information already from the Armenian Ministry of Economy about importing firms in Armenia that we are also processing and hope to include in the portal in the coming months. How often is the data updated on the site? That's an excellent question. So it depends on the type of information. For instance, our export potential statistics are updated twice per year. So every time the IMF comes out with a new economic forecast, then we also update our statistics and update the export potential across all markets and across all products. The trade information, for the moment, it's the information in the portal is annual information. So we get that as soon as we get it from customs offices, we share that information in the portal as well. The tariff information can be updated sometimes several times per year. That we depend on also on countries updating their tariff information with the World Trade Organization or with our team. We are also directly connected. So it really depends on which type of information we're talking about, but we update it as regularly as we can. Any other questions? I see Mkrtic has their hand up. Would you like to take the floor?
Mkrtic Karapetyan. Before Mkrtic joins us, there is another question. What about transportation information? Are there any resources on platform about transportation?
Thank you for this question, Mkrtic. We do not currently have any information about transportation. That's an interesting aspect to consider. We do have information sometimes in other platforms about freight forwarders and companies that provide logistics support, but we don't have direct transportation information available in this platform just yet. Can you give us a better idea of what type of details you would like to see if we were to include transportation information? What details would you be particularly interested in? That would also be very helpful for us to know. Are there any other questions, comments that anyone would like to share? Okay, so prices and companies. Mukhtich, I can say that prices for transport, we don't currently have covered yet because they vary a lot depending on the good that you're transporting, your shipment size. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects that will go into this. We've been in contact with the International Federation of Freight Forwarders, and we're working to see with them if we can get more detailed information, at least in terms of all of the freight forwarders that work, the 40,000 that work across the globe. So that's information that will be coming. But in terms of prices, it will vary dramatically by shipment size, by target market. So this is something that you would have to directly contact the company to get the details. Any other questions? We have plenty of time, so please don't be shy. And also, Adelia will put our emails in the chat as well, so that you can contact us in the future if you have any follow-up questions, and also maybe to Karen, in case you would prefer to do it in Armenian. Karen is our ears on the ground in Armenia that can also give further information. Adelia is kindly posting a link in the chat. It takes 2 minutes to answer it, but we would just like to hear from you about what you thought of today's webinar. It really is only a couple of clicks to tell us how you think we did, and it's in Armenian, so we would love your feedback if you have 2 minutes to dedicate to us. Do we have a platform with service offers? So currently at EaP, thank you for your question. If you're talking about information for services, the platform at the moment is limited to goods. So that is not something that we don't have the quality of data precise enough yet to offer all of the same details for services. If you're asking whether the platform offers services in terms of like additional export, let's say consultancy services or that sort of thing, that isn't something we integrated for the moment. The idea, let's say the concept of the platform is to really just simplify market research and give you a synthesis of the key information you need as an exporter to compare and analyze your market opportunities. Is there information about registered regions, names, or trademarks? Mari, we don't have that information there. So this would be something that you would find at WIPO, at the World Intellectual Property Organization. They have several global databases where you can search for registered trademark names, so you can see if they're already patented or if they're already registered. And you can also get information to help you assess what are your IP protection needs as a company, and as well all the information to contact both local and IP offices in your target market to be able to register those if you need to do so. So this is information. Adelia, actually, if you could put a link into, this is something that's also integrated into our global trade help desk. Adelia can put a link in and you can find those details there also if needed, but that one won't be available in Armenian. Unfortunately, it's available only in English and Russian. Global Trade Help Desk. Thank you. There you'll be able to find the intellectual property information that we don't have in this website. So once again, please don't be shy and let us know. You fill out our evaluation quickly. It only takes 2 minutes. You have our contact information for the future. If you would like to contact us, we would love to hear from you in case anything is unclear. We'd be happy to clarify it. Any last questions? anything is unclear, please don't hesitate. We would love to answer. Well, if there's any last questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand. In the meantime, I, on my behalf, would like to very much thank you for attending our webinar. It's been great having you. We hope that this will be a useful resource to Armenian firms. And we would also ask your help in getting the word out. If you think that there are people that might be interested or people that might be able to use this information, we would ask you to be our ambassadors and to help us get the word out also among your contacts and your friends. We would very much appreciate that. Karin, are there any last words you would like to say as our master of ceremonies?
Չէ, միայն նորից շնորհակալություն հայտնել, մեկ էլ
No, I have nothing to add. I want to express my gratitude and just to add that if you have any question in future, should have any question in future, I will share my contacts with you and you can ask any question or write or call me directly about the functionality of the portal, or if you face any challenges with regarding the use of the portal, application of the portal, you can anytime call me or contact me. And once again, thank you very much for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. And please don't hesitate